why this game is so beautiful, because everybody brings their individual talents to the table. But looking at some of my like US comrades, I think players that were like played similar positions to me that I look at and I think, okay, they had a little bit more of this. I had a little bit more of this. I'd say Megan Rapinoe and Tobin Heath are two players that, I think early on in their careers, they probably learned a lot from me. Later on in our careers, I would learn a lot from them and wish that I could do some of the things that they could do. Megan Rapinoe, I would say specifically, I look at her like set piece service and delivery. And I think I tell kids now, like, why not become a set piece specialist? For Tobin Heath, I mean, the obvious is Tobin's one of the most skillful players to come out of US soccer history. And I think that her like love of the ball when she was younger in particular is something that like just elevated her throughout her entire career. Because I mean, back in the day, like she didn't play another sport. She loved soccer. She watched soccer from a very young age. She was just like more of a soccer head than I was, I think, at very like formative years of her life and like when she was growing and things like that. And I think that it gave her a platform to be able to control and deal with any ball that was kind of coming her way. Whereas for me, it was like more of a challenge. I worked hard on my first touch, like later in my career, but I don't think that I had some of the fundamentals from a very early age that Tobin did. And I think that eventually she added a lot of layers to her game. And it was almost kind of too late for me to acquire some of those early stages of ball control and mastery that Tobin had from a young age. So I would say that those two are players that I looked for as I was a little bit jealous of their skill sets.
About your time at Arsenal, and obviously now the news just came out that Tobin is going there. So first of all, if you do you have any advice that you would share with Tobin, or maybe you've already shared with Tobin about, what it's like there and how the experience is different? She's been in England, obviously, but what stands out to you most that would maybe be something you'd share with Tobin about that club in particular?
I think that, she knows Arsenal probably better than I do, even at this point, even having been over there for a year and a half, because she's been a supporter. Like I said earlier in this interview, like Tobin's a soccer head. Like she watched Arsenal in like the mid 90s and the 2000s, like Thierry Henry, Arsene Wenger, like the Invincibles. She probably followed that season as a young kid. And that was something that I had to kind of come up to speed with. So I think that instantly, like Tobin will, there won't be a transition in terms of like finding that passion with the club. And I think that people that are supporters in Europe, like really respect the fact of being a true supporter. I mean, true